So we're going to shift gears to now do the course review, just to remember what we've been doing together. Okay? So, first session. So long ago. What did we do? There was a major theme, storyline that we tried to articulate. Can anyone remember?
Yes, no, yes.
Oh, yes, the yes, no, yes. Okay.
All right.
We tried to at least just lay out the framework, right? This original grounding, yes. And then the no that are in various forms, but it's the threat. It's the current threat, and the threat that we're talking about here is the system of capitalism and the manifestations from it. And that's the no. And then there's the second yes, which is the opportunity. So given this situation, what can we do? What can we do and create together? But between the no and the second yes is, can anybody remember what? So I had the big no right here, I had a yes here, and then there's this blank.
Oh, yeah, this class.
What's that?
I said word.
It's a C word. Capacity. It's capacity, right? Power and capacity. If you don't have power and capacity, you cannot take a threatening situation and create something new out of it, right? So that's a lot of where Biocommons situates itself, is in that power and capacity place. Second session, we did the Bill McKibben reading, right? So we opened ourselves up to the reality of the climate crisis and the time frame, or general, but nonetheless, we're not talking like 100 years, right? We have a general time frame that's fairly close at hand. And we talked about the connection with that and the pressures on our families. Okay, so it's not some big abstract problem. We're actually also experiencing it in very concrete ways, but it's hard to make those connections. So we tried to start making those connections. Session 3 was all those diagrams, right? All those circle diagrams about the market and the government and the civil sector, right? And this expansion, and then finally the 1971 to the present, where the only circle that was there was the market, right? And this little civil sector, this little Biocommons community was like this teeny little speck, right, on the edge. And how that happened, and then what the effects of that are. And so we also had that diagram of typical civil sector institution, right, with all these little dots on it, and how that aspect of our public life has been eroded. And then finally last week we looked at capitalism as a system and the economic crisis. And the enormity of it, and some of the symptoms of it as well. Okay. And then just remember, we had our sticky note homework, right? So we had that meditation where we tried to connect deeply with the grapes and the water and the air, and realize that this biosphere is actually us, right? That we're made of this. Remember that? We have the sticky note homework that had 14 years and signs of hope, so really looking at that 14-year timeline. And then the diagrams, right? How do we see these aspects of market and civil sector functioning every year? So that's kind of where we've been. And then you had an assignment this week to reflect on some questions. So we're going to get into that. Yes. Right now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure, what?
Okay.
So who are my scribes, and you're going to be my timekeeper? You're going to give me a 4-minute signal? Thank you. First of all, I want to thank our snack bringers. Thank you, snack bringers. Awesome job yet again. helping us to keep our strength. So, we've got some writers, and what I want to do is I want to take about 4 to 5 minutes on each one of the questions and invite folks to give a word or a phrase, probably a phrase, what it was that they were thinking about. And our first one that we're going to, and then we'll move on to the next one, right? And then if we have time, we'll circle back. And I'd like to offer an opportunity to hear from as many of you as possible, but not multiples at once, because we have a single scribe for each question. So I appreciate your understanding of that one. So the first thing that we asked you to write about or think about was what, out of the learning that you've had for the last 4 weeks, what has been the most agitating to you? Anybody want to start off the betting? No, start off. Complicity. Complicitness. Okay, thank you.
Inequity.
Inequity.
The slowness of this process mixed with the urgency of the situation.
Slowness of process, urgency of situation. Thank you.
Wow, yeah.
Last week. Can I call it the system? The captivity system? Okay, thank you. Other things that were agitational?
New context.
New context, okay. Yeah, that can be somewhat agitational, certainly.
Short phrase. A kind of loneliness.
Okay, kind of loneliness. Good, thank you.
Or we could say contrast with the regular world.
Okay. Okay, kind of loneliness, we'll add 2 of those in a contrast. Jan, were you going to say something? You look poised to say something. No?
I'm searching.
You're searching, okay, good, thank you.
And don't be afraid to repeat something that's already up there.
Yeah, we
That
just
will
want to
help
know
us
what was
know.
agitational for you.
Yeah.
The more the merrier. What we're going to do is we're going to look at that during the break, look at what you all tell us, and pick out some themes for part of the discussion. Yes?
Easy to temptation to just resign and give up.
Okay, temptation to resign and give up is agitational. Alice?
I'll repeat one that's up there in slightly different words. Mine were getting bogged down in the know, but it's kind of that same idea as the slowness of the process.
Okay. Bogged in the know. Yes?
The structures of domination that have rigged the system.
Did you get that one? Hold on. All right. Structures of domination that have rigged the system. Thank you.
There's, I don't know how to say this briefly, but something like uncertainty of the end goal of our gathering.
Okay. Uncertainty about the end goal. That's important to know. Good. Thank you.
Hegemony.
Okay. Hegemony. I've been looking over here.
And tipping points. That's my other one.
Tipping points. Okay.
Impatience.
Impatience. Okay. Yes.
Handwriting on the wall.
The handwriting on the wall. 1 more minute. Thank you. Okay, so we have 1 more minute on what was agitating to you. Yes.
I benefit from the system.
Yeah.
Thank you. Benefit from the system.
But I'm also trapped in that system.
And feeling trapped in the system? Okay.
Assumptions.
Who said that? You said assumptions. Assumptions can make us a little agitated, sure. So we'll come back to this if there's time. What I'd like to do now is give Dave a break from writing so he doesn't fall down. So the second one that we asked you to think about is, what are you struggling to understand or integrate? What is it that you're struggling with to understand or integrate?
Why it's so hard for many people to understand what the problem is.
Why is it so hard to figure out what's going on, okay?
Where is the root?
Meaning the route forward or the route where it started?
The root where it started.
Where's the R-O-O-T? Thank you, I was thinking R-O-O-T or R-O-U-T-E, thank you. What else is something that you're struggling with to understand and to integrate? Yes?
How to share when sharing feels like creating conflict. How to share the concern when it creates conflict.
So how to share the concern when it feels like, okay, thank you. Feels like conflict. Yes?
Communicating the spiritual connection.
Communicating the spiritual connection. Good, thank you.
Having a hard time integrating the depth of the illness of the system and how that illness affects creation and not just, all of creation. How does the depth of the illness of the system affect all of creation, not just humans? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, you're struggling with how the depth of the illness in the system, the illness that humans are experiencing, how it impacts all life forms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to understand what kind of transformation it will take for there to be a real change.
So struggling with what that transformation is going to look like, feel like, be like. Yes.
I am struggling with getting out of a tendency to intellectualize everything. And that's a normal path for me because it's much easier to deal with intellectual stuff than emotional stuff.
Okay, thank you. Yes?
I don't think we've gotten there yet, but I've heard other people say it in different terms. Our ultimate vision, or what we would imagine replacing our current system with.
Diving into uncharted waters, yes.
Walking the talk.
Walking the talk, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Hold on, get to you in a second,
Kind of
yes?
along with that, struggling to understand my purpose in being here.
Not in the course, but being
The
here.
course.
In the course, okay. Just that, not life in general. So you're trying to struggle with your purpose in the course, okay?
In Quakerism, we have a phrase, what can thou say? Which means, what is your own spiritual insight? What is your own experience speaking to this, not the intellectual analysis?
So trying to integrate your own insights, not just the intellectual analysis. Okay, 1 minute. I thought you wanted to share something. Yes?
Why it's important that we understand, like the thinking stuff and all the details about the note.
Why is that important? Okay. Why do we need to know this stuff? Yes, ma'am. What is your name?
My name is Maggie.
Hi, Maggie. I'll try to remember that. I'm sure you will. That's okay, Maggie. Go ahead.
I'm struggling to understand the significance of the fact that people have been talking about the end of the world since the world began, and how that might be relevant to our conversation.
Okay. Well,
The
struggling
end of the world is
like crying wolf, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
It seems like it's a whole cultural shift that's needed, and I'm struggling with how to turn the system upside down effectively.
For you or in general, in a larger
In
sense?
general, in a larger sense, it's
How do we turn that system around or upside down?
upside down. I mean, I think it needs to be flipped on its head.
Okay. Thank you. Let's move on to the third one. And if he grants us any time, the Time Lord, we'll come back. So the third question was, what ahas or unveilings have you had so far? Have there been any ahas for you or any unveilings of things, clarifications? I'm seeing a nod over here. Yes.
I do too many things right now. And so I feel called to take some time and discern what things do I have to lay down and what things do I have to take up. What are mine to do and what are mine not to do.
So the aha is what is yours to carry and what is not yours to carry, but others. Thank you. Great.
The eternal yes
that defines both the no and the other yes.
Aha! Okay.
During the video when she said that, I'm not sure of the number, but 34,000 kids died every day. It was like a night, and it's like I'm part of that. And that was so big.
So that aha, part of that could be
I'm
the
responsible.
that aha is our responsibility or complicitness with this, okay?
It's up to us, and the way that aha came was week before last in the worship service, when all our candles were up there, somebody turned out all the other lights, so only the existential situations that we brought were the only light.
So meaning it's up to us. It's up to us. Thank you. Yes.
My aha is I don't believe we can go back and change anything that's happening, or we have to go in a different direction.
Okay. Aha, meaning new direction. Don't fix it. Thank you.
A lot of the conversation revolves around coming to grips with our collective mortality.
Coming to grips with our collective mortality. Okay. That's an unveiling, certainly. One that oftentimes we want to keep that veil over. Thank you. Other ahas or unveilings. Matt, did you want to share something?
The like internalized dependency or slavery, like when she said it's harder to take this Egypt out of the slave than the slave out of Egypt, and just like in a larger sense, this kind of friction that we're all dealing with, if in fact we do think Egypt needs to be gotten rid of.
Okay. Did you get that? Good. Internalized dependency. Yes.
So mine was that I can do something, but I can't do everything.
Yes, and then yes. Lots of yeses.
That my anger is a powerful, positive force.
For
Change.
change, for action, I think. Anger is a positive, powerful force. Great.
Just an unveiling around all that's been going on for many years with eco-faith recovery and this whole course, that this has been happening, it's been here, but unknown to me.
So just the course itself. Great that it's happening. Yes.
Mine's a little like that, but not quite the same. It was a delight to find out that two people that I know in completely other contexts are here.
Aha. Good. One more? All right. Well, yes. Okay. One
Just
more.
that it's going to take, it really is about us. It's in the sense that, you know, the small band of committed people, but government and all the rest of the organized things are not.
Okay. I want to add one more, just the word legacy, if you could add to that. All right, so the fourth question was, how is all of this impacting your faith and your spirituality? Kind of putting aside the facts. How is it impacting your faith and your spirituality?
I find myself becoming judgmental of my own tradition, my own faith tradition, how it has been historically known and communicated.
How is what you've learned, experienced, and felt so far impacting your own faith and your own spirituality, Matt?
Reflecting on it, I've like added another layer or taken another layer off of like an anthropocentric spirituality. So moving away from that to a whatever you want to call it, biocentric or
From people-centered spirituality to bio-centered spirituality. Wow.
Prophetic ministry is the only option. I have nothing left to believe in except for that.
Okay. Yes.
I've found that the content of the course actually meshes very well with my faith upbringing as Quaker. So I'm despite the fact that some of the information is new, it's not changing the way I practice my faith at this point.
It's meshing with, not changing. Okay. Yes. please.
It's possible to, I've discovered in this process that it's possible to find a commonality among the faiths with this subject in particular.
Great, thank you. So the way it's impacting yours is that you're finding a commonality. Yes.
It's brought up conflict for me around spirituality, partially because I'm currently also studying mindfulness and non-striving and letting go and focusing on the breath and sort of being as opposed to doing as much. And so there's a huge conflict there for me, taking the two courses at the same time.
Drives you to distraction, Matt.
For me, that like I had similar things, but it was actually like I just to be like less attached to the outcomes of my actions, to be like committed to action, but not to the fruits of my action. Like, yeah, that's been good.
Yes.
I believe that faith requires abandoning reason. That is, I need to get out of my head before I do anything. You know, I can't act on my faith just out of what I think. I have to go into action, go into my heart rather than my head.
Okay. She understood that. Figuring out how to put words in it. I'm going to give you one from my faith tradition, which is Jewish. We are expected to start the work. We're not expected to finish it necessarily. If we can, great, but we cannot desist from, we can't not do the work. And in that sense, for me, my whole manner of prayer or spirituality has changed a lot in terms of focusing and trying to reach out to others who are in my faith tradition to help them understand that kind of 11th commandment, which is to get off our butts and work with the divine to make change, to make healing change. Are we at time?
That was 4 minutes of each,
So we have another few minutes.
Except we're late, actually.
Oh, we're late actually.
Because we actually don't have
Yes.
Is it possible to have those things written down and?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, it certainly is. It certainly is. What we're going to do now in the short, once we have the break, while you guys are relaxing, breathing fresh air outside, and eating and going to the bathroom, we're going to try to discern from what you have given us, which we're excited about. Terry.
Yeah, so for this next about 25 minutes, we're going to invite you into an exercise that was created by Joanna Macy in one of her workshops, and it's called the Truth Mandala. And it's a simple exercise that I hope you will enter into with some trust and community feeling with one another, because it's going towards expressing some of the feelings that may be deep down inside of us, and it's up to every individual to judge, what kind of feelings you want to share. But I've heard already in the plenary that we just had, the shout outs, that there were a lot of feelings coming up. So we want to give opportunity to switch from our right brain to our left brain and express some of our feelings, to get out of our heads and let our hearts speak.
The other way around.
Get out of our heads and let our hearts speak.
Left brain to right brain.
Left brain to right brain. Yeah, okay. This is the left side. See, it's a journey for all of us. So there will be a table leader at each of the stations. So one station will be here, and there's 5 stations in the sanctuary. And when the time comes, we just invite you to go. We're going to number off and just go kind of to that station and proceed. And I'll just explain it briefly so that you get an idea. There's 4 symbols on each station, and each symbol represents a kind of feeling that you might have as we face this climate crisis and possible end of the world as we know it. And so these are the feelings. This is fear. So you can come up, and if you take the rock, you can talk about what you're fearing. The leaves represent our grief, our sorrow, our mourning. The stick represents our anger. And the bowl represents our emptiness, our feeling of helplessness. Now you may be saying, where's the hope? The hope is that when we gather and can share our hearts and our thoughts and minds together, we build community. So we want you to enter into this sharing those feelings, because when we're truthful with our feelings, then we can move together in hope. So we hope you'll just allow yourself to participate as best you can. You're not required to do this when you get there. You don't have to, but we invite you to come forward, and you can pick up one symbol and share the feeling that comes to your mind, or you can come forward and do multiple. But remember, there's 5 or 6 people in your group, so we want as many people to participate as possible. Any questions about that?
So are the symbols the same at the different,
Yes.
Yes, they're all the same.
but we're gonna move from one?
No, you'll be in one small group.
Okay.
And we're going to number off now by 6.
Unless there are other questions.
With no other questions, so we'll number off by 6, and then the stations are clockwise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So
1.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
1.
2, 3,
4,
5, 6. 1, 2, 3,
4,
5.
6. 1, 2, 3, 4,
5.
6. 1, 2,
3.
4, 5, 6. 1.
we're good. So table leaders go out, and then it's clockwise, starting with 1 to my left and around the circle.